Hi, Mike. So after watching your workout video, I wanted to say that I think it was a wonderfully done workout. You maintained your motivation throughout the whole thing, and I think that you worked hard up until the last exercise, which was awesome. Also, shout out because your spine neutrality, especially in your bent over row, was incredible. And just a lot of things that I noticed about your movement patterns and the features of your movements that were just really well done. Maybe one piece of advice to keep in mind for your next workout is maintaining a stance that allows you to do the exercise best. So, for example, for your inverted rows, if you maybe narrow your stance or widen your stance, it will change the difficulty of the exercise that you're doing. So, little things to keep in mind. Some of the constraints that I think were present that impacted how you performed the different tasks was for the push up. One of the environmental constraints was the motivation you were receiving from your coach. And I think that helped to push you because you really did work hard for those 30 seconds that you were doing those push ups for. For inverted row, I think one of the personal constraints was the width of your feet that you chose. You chose a pretty narrow stance, so maybe widening your stance next time could help you to push through for the full time. And then for the Versa climber, I was very impressed because Versas are very hard. And I think that the amount of rest in between each set impacted the way that you did the Versa. So that's kind of a task constraint that I would maybe look at. And then for bench press, I think a personal constraint was the amount of weight that you chose. It was well executed. Your form was really great. I think that the weight chosen was definitely a constraint that impacted your performance. And for the bent over rows, you had a great awareness of your spine neutrality, which was really great. So a personal constraint was that you maintained a very neutral spine throughout the entire exercise, which was awesome. And then some constraints that I would maybe put in place to adjust your movements or to improve the variability of your skill. For the push-up, I would change the tempo of the push-up to maybe make it a little bit slower or say that you're holding it for a little longer just to increase the difficulty, because I think just banging out the push-ups in 30 seconds, you did really well. So I think we could do some things to make it a little more difficult perhaps. For the inverted rows, I would get you to focus on maintaining a neutral spine. So you had that during the bent over rows, but for inverted rows, I would ask you to focus on pulling your chest up so that your body was level, so that when you raised your chin up to the bar, your entire body was flat. And then for Versa climbers, again, a personal constraint would be maintaining your neutral spine so that your hips aren't shaking back and forth, but instead you have a good steady rhythm and you're taking longer strides. And then for your bent over rows, one thing that I might add to make it a little bit more difficult is a resistance band around your legs and adjusting your stance so that you were in a squat stance instead of with one of your knees up on the bench, because I think that could increase the difficulty and maybe work on your legs as well as your arms and improve your balance and different things like that. And lastly, for your bench press, I would maybe adjust the width of your arms, because I think that you did the bench press really well, but to maybe make it a little bit more difficult on yourself and also to work on some different things, make it more variable, I would change the width of your arms when you're doing the bench press. Overall, though, the workout was really well executed. I was highly impressed with it, and thank you so much.